validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Special shout out to Steven. It's like, man, I finally got here. Finally got here on time. I don't blame you, buddy. We got to get in there when we got to get in there. So we're about 15 minutes late, but, you know, we almost exactly right where we're supposed to be at. And here on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. We are live 7 nights a week, but we do not always start on time. And that's why we tell you guys on a regular basis that while we do not let the sun rise without going live, and we know we don't always start on time, we ask you guys to like, subscribe, mash those notification buttons while you're here, and then hit the reaction buttons as well, so that you can be notified when the show goes live. If you've got something new that we want to update you about as soon as the show starts, and also so that you can be able to listen to the show in the background, like Steven. He got here during the intro, and he's able to now listen to the show with his headphones on while he's at work trying to knock it back, making money while he's trying to learn other different ways to make money. Fantastic way to, what do we call that? Multitask. Now, since we have different topics every night of the week, we have on Sundays, we have questions and comments from the fans, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, today being Tuesday. On Mondays, we discuss politics and how they negatively impact your ability to make, save, and invest money. Yesterday, we were talking about the tariffs. While Kathleen was talking about her husband and her ex-boyfriend, we were talking about the tariffs, and we were focused on how there's a 2.5% increase after Donald Trump switched from I do believe it was the 212 or 211 tax law, that a tariff law that only allowed him to use an emergency tariff to raise tariffs on other countries. He switched from that to a 301 tariff law that allowed him to now raise it up to like 12.5% across the board. But we're experiencing, because he set it at 10% and it was set to expire in July, and he raised it to 12.5%. So now we're going to see a 2.5% increase on goods and services. So while those of us that are on fixed income or limited income was just barely getting by, we recognized yesterday that you're going to have a lot harder way to get by over the next few months. Well, shit, the tariff just got put into place. It might be another 6 months at the very least, because we're not going to see the depreciation of conflict from oil prices until after the oil goes down, and the oil doesn't go down until after the conflict stops. But we will see a stabilization over the next 3 or 4 months of the uncomfortably high cost of living in the United States. Now, on Tuesdays, we talk about different ways to make money, save money, and invest money. Today, we're going to be doing the dividend rotation strategy. We're going to be discussing some of the shares for August and September. For those of you that are in the membership, we've already placed in the membership all the shares that you need to be paying attention to. Later this week, we should be releasing, because the first is towards the end of the week, we should be releasing again the watch list for August as well as September. And then we're going to be making sure that you guys know exactly what's going on with, because the watch list has estimated dates. And if you're in the membership, you'll be able to see exactly what we're looking at and what we're paying attention to. And when I put, Stephen and I talked about it the other day, and I have put the entire 54 watch list on the membership so that you guys could see which stocks and shares and stuff that we talk about. And I can tell you that there's a lot of stuff going on. He says stores will use this as an excuse to raise prices 20% and up. Well, as we talked about yesterday, with everything that's going on, local stores are capable of raising their prices because import products are forced to raise their prices. And because instead of people having, it used to be a price war back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, where everybody was driving down prices. If you set it at $1, I set it at 50 cents, you set it at a quarter. But big business has gotten wise. If I set it at $1 and you set it at 99 cents, if I decide to do anything, I'm going to go up to $1.50 and you're going to go up to $1.49. We're not going to fight over this. You know what I mean? We're not going to fight over this. The prices are so close together that the few pennies that you save on going with product B is not going to change anything, because you're basically buying a brand more often than not, as opposed to quality, because product pricing is not based on durability. It is based on the luxurious impression placed on what we identify as quality, right? And that's completely different. Something that, like, for example, back in the day, they used to have light bulbs that would never break. Some of us buy light bulbs every year. Some of us have not had to buy a light bulb in our lifetime, because every house we've come across has always had lights in it. And if one light bulb goes out, it's just one. Outside of a power surge that would blow stuff, we normally don't have to change up. But you got to see that people who use lights on a regular basis, man, their lights go out regularly, which is why you see like a whole aisle in Walmart, in Lowe's, in Home Depot of light bulbs, because they make things to be replaced. So there are certain levels of durability where you're paying more money for the durability, because you're going to buy this one time at a higher price and it's going to last you 10 times longer than the cheap thing. But then there's other times where you're paying for the brand name, where it is not going to outlast the non-brand name, but it prestigiously will make you feel like an expensive person because you have expensive taste on a broke man's budget. It's not a good look. A lot of people get into relationships where they try to impress their girlfriends with this expensive taste on a broke man's budget, till she realizes you can't afford that shit. Now you got a girl thinking that you had a check that was this high when you had a check that was this high, and she down here thinking that she done got up here, and then when she realized that, oh, by the way, you over here, she and now y'all got money fights, right? So yeah, stores are going to be raising prices. I don't know if they're going to go up as much as 20%, but I wouldn't put it past them right now, because they're going to be charging more money for the cost of imports because of fuel prices, and now they're going to be charging even more money for imports for the cost of tariffs. And like I told you guys, anything inland, anything that's not close to the port, is going to cost more money to ship it from the harbor to like inner cities like Wisconsin, Tennessee, Connecticut, Arkansas, Wyoming, you know what I mean, Nevada, places that there's no boat docks there. You know what I mean? So that shipping it inland, that's going to cost a whole lot more. So, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, any products that has to get shipped in, and it gets shipped in from the ports of Texas, and it's got to be driven north through 5 states, that stuff's going to cost way more money, because the tariff cost is an extra 2.5% increase in comparison to what it was before July. And the fuel cost, I do believe now, has gone up like $2 a gallon since what it was in July. So, and that's $2 a gallon, right? And 18-wheelers don't get good gas mileage. Right? Now, after we talk about different ways to make, save, and invest money on Tuesdays, then on Wednesdays, we give you guys information about different countries around the world that you can live in and potentially invest in. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we give you guys information about self-improvement, personal development, relationship topics, socialization, negotiations, building your brand, raises, promotions, retirement, forced retirement, severance packages, termination, and then how to build your 20 and 30-year plan. And we just keep adding a lot of stuff in there to make sure that you guys are able to focus on 2 different sides of life. Side 1 ultimately is your business life, which is your ability to bring the money in. And then side 2, which is your ability to have discretionary spending, common sense that not a lot of people have, so that you're not spending more money than you make. So that and that's also going to have your discretionary spending divided between the things you need to buy now and the things that you can put off until next time, so that you're not stressing your budget. Because even if you're doing everything right, but you're trying to like expedite repairs on house, or expedite lawn care, or expedite car repair, or whatever the case may be, expedite medical treatment, whatever the case may be, if it's not a life-threatening situation, but you're rushing into something financially simply because you can, you could be limiting your financial availability for an emergency that might occur in between now when you get paid and the next time that you get paid, since a lot of people are living at 90% of their income. So we try our best to help you guys with building your 20 and 30-year plan. And once you've built it, once you have structuralized it, once you have reinforced it and stuck with it, you will find that over time that it will be one of the most beneficial things that you personally can have in your life, right? Because as you build it up right now, it's a younger age. Because just like what we said yesterday, the day before last week, is like even Mike's 7 years old. He wants to outlive his money, and at 71 years old, the possibility of him lasting 20 more years makes sense. Which also means that even in Michael's case, if he was to start investing extra money that he doesn't need, and he would be aggressively investing, because if he was smart enough to rearrange his lifestyle to own his own house, own his own car, he claims he's got rental properties, all this, that, and the other, he should have way more money coming in than what he needs to spend. And if he's living at 30% of his income, he has the capabilities of investing 50% of his income towards making sure that when he's 80 and 90 years old and he's not capable of running around doing those estate sales, that he still has money coming in to pay for his standard of living, and pay for his in-home nurse, and pay for his medication, and pay for his travel, and pay for his vacation time, and all of the other stuff that he wants to do in the other later parts of his life. So even at 70 years old, it's not too late. We can discuss opportunity costs as to how much better it could have been had he started it 40 years ago. But if he didn't get it together until he got to the show, if he started doing it now, he could find himself in a position between now and the time he's 85, assuming that he makes it that long, with extra money there to last him until he's 95 or 110. And the rest of us that are 30 and 40 and 50 years old, if we start doing it now while we wasn't spending our money wisely last year, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we start spending our money wisely now, by the time we're in our 60s, some of us at between 36 and 45 years old, if we, over the next 15 to 20 years, we're continuously putting our money in the right spot, by the time we're 55, 60 years old, when we qualify for retirement, we will be able to just walk away from that and be like, fuck it. We're good. I can quit my job. I can either work because I want to or not work because I don't want to, and be able to make money for myself and have a fantastic stress-free lifestyle. That's not something that a lot of people can accomplish, right? Because a lot of us spend our money from paycheck to paycheck. And that's one of the reasons why I give you guys that 20 and 30 year future plan that you have to factor these things in, because you cannot factor it in if you don't have the mindset, really, because it's going to start with your mindset before anything else. It's going to start with your mindset, and then it's going to double back to everything else. So let's go ahead and discuss, because they were supposed to be, we got a short situation that we're going to be running through over the next maybe hour and a half, and we're going to be trying to cover some of the stocks. And you got to think about, in the chaotic market that we have right now, where headlines are swinging from euphoria to panic in a matter of hours, finding reliable streams of income can feel almost impossible. And most investors are going to be stuck staring at their screens, watching their portfolio values jump around, and then they're going to be hoping for capital gains that may or may not show up, because they're going to be depending on the growth of the share price, not the dividend value of the paying stock. They're playing a game of chance. But what if there was another way? What if you could build a system, a financial machine like the one I have in our membership, that delivers cash flow into your account with some predictability month after month, no matter the daily market madness? That's going to be the foundation of our investment philosophies. He said, I think I might go insane with this Prospect Capital after seeing dividend drop. Prospect Capital dropped its dividend from 12%. Oh no, you got paid today. You got paid today. Because I was like, wait, I was looking at Prospect Capital the other day. Hold on. Because I just got Netflix stock just the other day because of the oh, I see, the 4%, they cut it from 12 cents to 4 cents. Oh, I see what you're talking about. That doesn't change much, which is one of the reasons why when you and I were talking, they changed it from 12% to 4% last month, but it's still a lot. It's still a lot. It's still 18.33% in comparison to the $2.23 a share that they have it at. But that change doesn't change as much as when I was telling you about Ellington Residential. That's 8 cents a share, which is at 21.82%. And that's one of the things that I was telling you to go put a little bit more effort into. But for us, it's like there's a lot of money in there, and you seen a significant because if you had like $2,000 in there and they're giving you well over 20%, they're dropping $200 into your account. And you're looking at it like, holy crap, that's a lot of money from dividend returns. And it is something that not a lot of people are paying attention to. They are more afraid of the cuts. They're more afraid of the drops. Orchid Island right now went from 12 cents a share down to 10 cents a share. on their dividend returns, but they're still at 20.97%. And that's one of the biggest risks with real estate investment trusts is that sometimes they do cut the dividend release to keep from going under. But as long as they're keeping from going under, I'm like, shh, we're good because I'm going to get mine. But when we had discussed before, when you said, well, which one do we go in on? And I told you go in on more often than not the Ellington residential right now, because while Prospect Capital is phenomenal with its low share price, I do believe right now you're looking at Prospect Capital is $2.23 a share, and then Ellington Residential is $4.45 a share. So that means that that 2 shares of Prospect Capital cost and gives the same dividend value as Ellington Residential. In that dynamic, it's like, well, you can grab either one of them and you're still getting 8 cents a share back off of less than $5 of stock. And that's still a good position to be in. So when you think about a $15 pack of cigarettes, you're thinking about 3 shares of stock from Prospect Capital or 2 shares of stock from Ellington Residential. And you're thinking about potentially like 16 or 24 cents a share coming to you from 1 pack of cigarettes that you didn't buy. That's something that not a lot of people think about. That, damn, I could just change one thing for those people who smoke weed, and you spend $200 on weed, $200 an ounce, or $165 on some mid-grade or whatever, right? But then you're buying $5 a pack for the rolling papers for 2 blunt wraps in a pack. You think about, well, shit, the amount of weed I smoke might cost me $300 to $500 a month. But at less than $3 a share for Prospect Capital, even at the 4% dividend return right now, where it dropped from 12% down to 4%, you will be looking at 100 shares of that, where 4 cents a share turns into $4 a share for 1 bag of weed and the supplies to smoke it up with. And when you start compounding that year over year, you start thinking, well, shit, I could become a millionaire just by, if all the money that Snoop Dogg smoked up would have been invested, he would have been rich without having to be around. He said pop can free. So today I'm not just going to give you guys a random list of dividend stocks. We're going to be, I'm sharing with you guys my personal clean dividend watch list for August and September of 2026. And you're going to see a lot of these going across the top of the screen on both the 16:9 and the 9:16. So make sure that you guys are mashing those reaction buttons whenever possible so that you can take a look at all of the stocks as we go through this and put your 2 cents in. Now, before we get started, Michael said buy Depends diapers and bottled water and plastic. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, he's not wrong. And I think toilet paper was the other thing. Let's get that out of the way before we get started. Now Michael's got to find some other shit to jump into the comment section with. Now, this is going to be the blueprint that I use to turn market chaos into more predictable income streams. This is going to be how you can start mapping out your own financial freedom, 1 dividend payment at a time. But before we get to the tickers, we need to talk about the why, because a list of stocks is useless without a strategy. My whole approach this month is going to be talking about building on a simple but powerful framework that I call the 55-25-20 income model, which is different from the 50-30-20 budget rule. Okay. And this is going to be what separates methodical income building from speculative gambles. And Stephen will tell you that this is the actual model that I put into the membership. 55% of it is going to be high interest returns. 25% of it is going to be more stable tax favorable, and then the 20% is going to be closer to more of the bedrock, but we're going to be talking about a lot of that today, right? So what is the strategy? What is that 55-25-20 strategy? It's going to be a portfolio model that I designed for resilience as well as cash flow. It's going to be all about creating a diversified multi-layered machine where every part has a specific job. And one of the most important parts about this is that, like I told Steven, when I told him to do, because he got the Erie stock, I haven't put it in there yet, but I will. And the CSCW stock that he told me about after that, I haven't put it in there, but I will. I've invested in those stocks. They're in my portfolio, my personal portfolio, but I have not added them to the portfolio list because I have not taken the time to update the full list and then put it into the rotation strategy. But I will be trying to get that done this month. However, Steven found two fantastic stocks that I told him, hey, run 22 instead of 19. And those two would be added to the growth stocks because real estate investment trusts are high cash generators. But as we just discussed a moment ago, while he's still benefiting from the 20% return on investment, you're still looking at the dividend cut that just happened where a lot of the REITs had cut from 10 and 12% down to 4 and 10%, where certain ones that was paying a lot of money per share is not paying that much money per share. But again, you know, some of the ones that Steven had found are dividend growers where year over year, while the share price considerably increases, the dividend return actually considerably increases as well. And when you're operating with ETFs, it makes more sense for you to have a growth stock that is actually a dividend paying stock where the dividend increases year over year. You know, that's going to be one of the things that's going to make things better. And I did tell you guys, real estate investment trusts are going to be heavily impacted because the government just said they got to sell a lot of those houses that they got. If they've got more than 305 or 350 houses, they're going to need to shift their model, which is going to cause them to shift their profit margins, which is going to cause them to slash prices on dividends, and that impacts the shareholders. But for us, instead of us trying to fix and flip houses in the real estate market, we're just buying the real estate investment trust and just deal with the slack. As long as the companies don't go out of business, we're good, right? But we do want to make sure that we rebalance the money we get from our REITs into our stable growth stocks until such time as we feel comfortable enough to provide ourselves just the stable growth stocks and not the REITs. And then we don't have to worry about anything, right? Because if you have a portfolio that is 100% tax favorable, you have no taxable income. If you have a portfolio that is partially tax favorable, then you get a depreciated tax bill. So if your goal is to operate on exclusively tax favorable companies, you're going to be getting less than 10% return on investment, probably averaging something closer to 7%, depending on how much you invest in. But you won't owe money on taxes, which is good for you, right? However, if you really want to make a lot of money in a shorter period of time, it's okay to give Uncle Sam $500 on 50 grand. Steven says, I keep forgetting to add $5 on McDonald's. Well, if they just drop some money into your account, you should be able to take $5 and put it on McDonald's. If it gave you 20 bucks, you should have been able to take $1 and put it on each, because you're doing ETF trading, you should have been able to take $1 and put it on each one of 20 different stocks that you want to pay attention to. Because out of sight, out of mind is one of the things that negatively impacts investors, which is why I told you ETF trading is the best thing for beginners. Because if you really want that stock, you can put 50 cents on that stock just to get it on your portfolio, so that the next time you got money and you want to divvy up your money between all the stocks in your possession, you got a 50-cent stock, you got a 25-cent stock that you just picked it up and you're holding it until you can put $50 on it. For low-income investors, that is a fantastic way to grow your money. And one of the reasons why we do it through Stash App instead of Charles Schwab is because Charles Schwab wants you to pay the whole fucking share price for certain things where you otherwise would not be able to invest in it if you didn't have the full amount. So some of the stocks that Steven pointed out, they were like $230 a share if you didn't have the $230. Or like Johnson & Johnson, it's like almost $300, $385 a share. Or Coca-Cola, you know, If you didn't have that 300 bucks, you can't buy the share, you know. But if you're ETF trading, it doesn't matter if it's $1,000 a share, like Netflix. If you put up $1, you have $1 worth of ETF worth of Netflix. So if Netflix doubles, your dollar doubles. That's all that matters. He says, is that called penny stocks? Okay, so technically people identify them as penny stocks, and the reason why they identify them as penny stocks is because usually these are stocks that are less than $10. But truthfully, on the S&P 500, on the Dow, on the NASDAQ, these are stocks that used to run $30, $50, $70 a share 20, 30 years ago. They depreciated in value. They're undervalued right now because of all the volatility in our stock market. And they are less than $10 a share for certain markets. And some are a little over $10 a share, $20, $25 a share in certain markets, where low-income investors can get in on the ground floor and actually start making money, make money for themselves. It is a highly volatile step in, but it's a volatile step in where the model that I put up was to rebalance into security growth, right? Where dividend paying stocks that are secured, growth stocks that are $300, $500, $700 a share stocks that would effectively, more efficiently procure your ability to stay stable. These things happen over the life of a stock market, but they're not necessarily penny stocks. Now, ETF trading is by far not penny stocks, because if I told you to put 75 cents on Shell, Chevron, and ExxonMobil, those are not penny stocks. Those are a few $100s a share. But if there was an unknown company that just went live, or if you're talking about like meme coin or something like that just went live and it's less than $10, that might qualify as a penny stock. But what we're talking about are not necessarily penny stocks. These are full-on 30, 40-year businesses, 55, 60 years, like Altria, that's been around since like you were a child, Michael. And these companies, they're just not being paid attention to by billionaires anymore. So that doesn't necessarily make them penny stocks. He says IPOs, initial public offerings. I understand that. Well, they talk about their IPOs, but again, those would not be, in my observation, classified as penny stocks. They would be blue chip stocks is what we would call them, because they've been around for decades and they pay year over year. They pay monthly. The dividend distribution is not as much as it could have been if they slash share values. But if you're living off of a dividend paying portfolio, where the dividend paying portfolio you can rebalance from the volatility to the security, the downfall of the stock price slashing from REITs and the windfall of dividend growth for the stable stocks, they offset one another. So you'll end up still being able to get dirt cheap portfolios, pick them up, go all in on them, build on it, and then take that and redirect it somewhere else where your money is making money for you. Now, again, diversifying is going to be a very important thing. You don't want to put all of your money into one company, because what if after 75 to 100 years that company does go out of business? You want to divide it between a majority of companies so that you have the capabilities where if one company goes down, you might only lose a portion of your portfolio, but you don't lose your whole portfolio, right? So the first biggest part of our portfolio is going to be 55% of the portfolio, and this is going to be the core income layer, right? The highest volatility part. So you want to think of this as the foundation of your house. It needs to be solid, reliable, and built to last. Now, this layer is made up of high quality blue chip dividend growers and broad market ETFs. So these are companies with strong balance sheets and long histories of not just paying, but in a lot of situations, increasing their dividends. Their main job isn't to give you the highest yields on a regular basis, but the most dependable growing income stream over the long haul. This is going to be where you find your long-term dividend growers, the bedrock of your wealth. Next up is going to be the 25% income engine layer. If the core is the foundation, this is going to be the engine, because in your garage that's constantly running is going to be a generator that's powering the property. So this layer is all about higher yield assets, especially those that pay monthly. In this particular discussion, we're going to be doing 25%, where we talk about specific companies like business development companies, BDCs, real estate investment trusts. But in the membership, I actually put the real estate investment trust and the BDCs into the 55% core, because out of now we're looking at 22 companies. Out of 22 companies, I had like 5 or 10 real estate investment trust companies, where 3 of them were in the above 20% area: Prospect Capital, Ellington Residential, and Orchid Island companies, real estate investment trust. 3 of them received the largest distribution, and then the other REITs would receive smaller distributions, so that you can rebalance into less volatility and into more stability. But their structures for real estate investment trusts and BDCs are often designed to pass income through to the shareholders, including taxation. And the goal here is going to be to maximize current cash flow, giving you the consistent monthly paychecks that you need to sustain your standard of living. Finally, we have the 20% ballast and growth layers. And this is going to be your tactical and diversification slice. So you want to think of it as a sail and rudder on your ship. It's going to help you navigate different economic waters. This is going to be where I put cyclical stocks like energy, industrial companies. You know, their dividends can be more variable, but they provide important diversification away from the financials and real estates that often dominate the income engine. They can provide a nice income boost during certain economic cycles and act as a potential inflation hedge. Now, by structuring a portfolio this way, 55% of it in stable core, 25% in high cash flow engine, and 20% in tactical diversification, you can create a system that is robust, and it is designed to balance the need for current cash with long-term growth and stability. This isn't just a random collection of stocks, it's a cohesive income generating ecosystem. Now, since you've gotten a framework, let's talk about the tool that brings it to life: the dividend calendar. Most investors look at a dividend stock and ask 2 questions: what's the company and what's the yield? And income investors ask a third, more important question: when does it pay? Portfolio stocks is just like a list. It's a dividend calendar that turns the list into a predictable cash flow map. It's the difference between owning a bunch of fruit trees and knowing exactly which week of which month each tree will be ready for harvest. Now, to do this, you're going to have to know 3 key dates. First is going to be the ex-dividend date, and this is going to be the most important date for you as a buyer, because you must own the stock before this date, including nights and weekends and holidays, to get the upcoming dividend. So if it falls on a weekend or a holiday, if the ex-dividend date falls on a weekend or a holiday, you must own it before the end of business day, the last business day of the work week before the ex-dividend date. So if it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, and if the ex-dividend date is on a Saturday or Sunday, you have to get it by the end of the market day, which is like 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. If it's on a Monday and Monday is a holiday, then you have to get it by the end of business day by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. If for some reason a holiday falls on a Friday, and it usually doesn't happen because in the spring you have a lot of Mondays that are a holiday. And in the fall, I can't remember, I think Thursdays are usually holidays in the fall. But if for some reason an ex-dividend date does fall on a Friday for some reason, and that Friday becomes a holiday for some reason, then you will find yourself in a situation where Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you would have to buy it. That's pretty much how it would work. So if you buy it after the ex-dividend date, or if you try to set up a sale after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you may not be calculated on the roster until Monday morning. And if the ex-dividend date occurs before you're counted, then you don't qualify for the cash. Steven says, I know this is way left field, but do you know of any comic book companies that get traded that thought just hit? And I think that it would be cool to have in the portfolio. You can have 500 different companies in your portfolio. If you're buying comic book shares in companies, I don't know any. And the reason being is because a comic book store isn't usually named comic book store. It's usually going to be just a bookstore like Barnes and Nobles or something like that. It might be an antique name in a local place. It might be Eco's Books or something to that effect, and they actually have comic books. It might be a game room that isn't a publicly traded company, but they sell comic books. So an official, like if you're thinking about the publisher of a comic book brand that might have like Marvel or DC or somebody like that, they might be trading on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, but an actual we sell comic books store, I don't even know what they're called, what the name of the store is called, in order to know if they sell comic books. But what I can do for you, Stephen, as one of the members in the membership, is I can try to find out through extensive research over the next week if there are any comic book stores that are traded in America on the NASDAQ, Dow, or the S&P 500, and then give you a list of them for you to do your research on and see which ones you want to pick up. Now, I want to be clear. Certain portfolio stuff that you pick up, while you do have a good sense of grabbing things, some of them you pick up just for talking points. Oh yeah, I got McDonald's stock. Oh yeah, I got comic book stock. It's novelty selections. The personal impact of your ability to have a conversation piece to say, I genuinely do have stock in Starbucks or stock in Apple or stock in Mercedes-Benz, versus actually having the financial value of owning that stock, are two different things. And that's something that I want you to remember when you are thinking about investing in things. Because when I did grab the 54 stocks that I grabbed, it is not the most attractive stocks on the market. I grabbed Tesla, but Tesla is not a dividend paying stock. I grabbed Oracle because Oracle owns TikTok, and Oracle is a dividend paying stock. And if your goal is to make money for yourself, especially if you're doing buy and holds and you're trying to make a portfolio that's paying you dividends so that you don't have to earn more money, and that type of portfolio is a type of portfolio that you can leverage for a cash loan, because the portfolio will pay for the loan. Not all the time are you looking for novelty stocks that everybody knows, that people like, that for the sake of having an open discussion at the water cooler, like, oh yeah, I got, a SpaceX stock. Like, I got 40 shares of Elon's son on a portfolio. Like, you could talk about it, but does it really pay for your standard of living, right? You can even say, shit, I've got like 1,000 shares of Donald Trump. Like, like, does it really benefit you if you did? Yeah, he's a billionaire, but unless you've got 1,000 shares of Donald Trump that's worth like $400,000 for you, like, doesn't really matter. So when you start paying attention to it, and I'm not telling you don't get them. I'm gonna go find them for you, and I'm gonna put them into the membership so that you have them. But do not oversaturate your portfolio with novelty picks simply so that you can have a talking point in the conversation to say, yeah, I got McDonald's stock, I got Burger King stock, I got Starbucks stock, I've got comic book stock, I've got PlayStation stock, Xbox stock, GTA 6 stock. I got stock in this and that. I got stock here. I got stock there. I got stock everywhere. But you still don't have a dollar paying for your meal at dinner time. You want to make sure that you're putting your money in places where, even if nobody knows the name of the company that you invested in, because true wealth, nobody knows where the money came from. All they know is that you don't have to ask for shit because everything gets paid for. True wealth, the truly wealthy isn't the person with the biggest house on the block. It's the person with the house on so much land that you can't see the house from the road. True wealth is not being able to brag about what you have in your portfolio. It is about having the financial leverage from your portfolio to buy the mall that is owning the kiosk of the salesperson that just talked shit to you. So instead of you arguing with this person, you buy the mall so that you can fire the kiosk, so that you can fire that person to show that person exactly how much power you have. That's true wealth. True wealth is the capability of saying, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to buy the company and then fire you. That's it. That's true wealth. Now, quiet wealth is going places where low quality employees don't exist. True wealth, quiet wealth, is not letting anybody know how you make your money make money for you. I'm going to tell you guys different ways to make money for yourselves. But true wealth, I'm not going to tell you how much money is in my portfolio. I'm not going to tell you how much gold and silver is at my house. I'm not going to tell you guys how many diamonds I've got in a safe in the basement, because true wealth doesn't brag about wealth. So when you think about, it's cool to have comic book stores on my portfolio. It's cool to have McDonald's on my portfolio. One of the true reasons why you didn't put that $5 on McDonald's is because you really don't have value in it. You just want to be able to say that you've got McDonald's stock in your portfolio when you're wasting money at McDonald's when you're eating out because you don't have time to cook in the house. That's really why you want to get the McDonald's stock. But truth be told, is the McDonald's stock really that beneficial to your portfolio? That depends on how close your portfolio is to the platform I gave you versus how much you modified it. I don't know if McDonald's is a dividend paying stock, but if it is a growth stock, it is clearly not directed towards a plan of a 100% dividend paying portfolio. So it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Now, I'm not going to tell you that having McDonald's is a bad call. You can have McDonald's and Burger King and Starbucks and Subway all on your portfolio, and Walmart and all of the other staples that are suffering because of the economic crisis that we're experiencing. And CarMax. You just got to ask yourself, out of all of the stuff that I just put into my portfolio, how much of it will give me a reoccurring income, and how much of it has exponential growth that I could leverage if I wanted to borrow against the portfolio on a cash loan or a equity line of credit. Because what happens is that certain companies will give you a line of credit 50-75% of the value of your portfolio, your stock portfolio, and you're leveraging your stock portfolio as a secured 100% backed loan. So if you were able to build up $100,000 on your portfolio, you would be able to say, let me get 50 grand, and they're not likely to tell you no. But if you said, let me get 50 grand from you, and I'm going to pay you like $500 a month on that 50 grand, does your portfolio pay $500 a month? If the answer is no, would McDonald's and the comic book store aid you in making that $500 a month? If the answer is no, then is it really beneficial to your portfolio? Because if you want it to borrow 50 grand off of your 100 grand so that you could pay $500 a month on 50 grand, where you can take the cash, buy yourself a car, buy yourself a house, fix up your house, whatever you're trying to accomplish with the 50 grand, and then take the difference and reinvest it into the portfolio. Would your portfolio be able to pay for itself? If it can't, then you need to restructure your portfolio. If it can, keep up the good work. Now, the second date that we need to pay attention to is going to be the record date. This is going to be just the date that the company checks its books to see who's officially a shareholder or not. It's usually a day or two after the ex-dividend date and more of a corporate formality. But sometimes the ex-dividend date is the day after the record date, so you got to be careful with that. But the ex-dividend date is going to be your action date. You want to make sure you have it before the action date. Third, and most incitingly, it's going to be the pay date. This is going to be the day the cash automatically hits your account and your investment becomes a real tangible income. And the payday is not the same day as the ex-dividend date. Sometimes it's a few days later, sometimes it's a week later, sometimes it's a month later. But it's usually on or about the same day every month. So if you have an ex-dividend date on the 31st and it pays on the 14th of every month, you get paid. If it's an ex-dividend date like Prospect Capital that has it on the 27th and they pay out by the 31st, by the 1st, you should see money on your account. Mapping these dates for every single stock is how you go from being a passive owner to an active cash flow manager. So you can see your big income months and your lighter ones when you're dealing with monthly payers like REITs and BDCs versus quarterly payers like tax favorable companies. You can plan your reinvestments, timing purchases to capture the next payout, where you're buying either during a dip in the month or right before the ex-dividend date so that your money hits the account and gives you a larger return since you're buying and holding instead of buying and selling. But it's critical to remember, especially this far out, that many of these dates and dividend amounts are projections, because we're in July and I'm telling you about August and September. They are estimates based on companies' histories and payment patterns, not the actual guaranteed dates. Dividends are not guaranteed and can be changed by the company's board at any time. The same way we just discussed at the beginning of the show that Prospect Capital, that was giving out 12 cents a share 3 months ago, is now giving out 4 cents a share because they dropped from almost $4 a share, $4 or $5 a share at 12 cents a share down to $2.23 a share. But they're still hovering right around 19% return on investment, whereas Ellington Residential is still operating at almost 22% return on investment. So you want to think of this as a roadmap, not in infallible prophecy. This is not something that I'm going to tell you this is exactly when it's going to happen, and then you're going to be able to time it and then take action exactly when I say, and then action will happen. I'll be able to give you macro level changes that will actually be projectable that you guys can follow, and then the micro level changes that you guys have to track yourselves. So let's start with some of the workhorses of the portfolio, the 25% income engine. And I'm only talking about it like this for you guys that are not in the membership, because when we were talking about the high octane growth engines, we were putting these income engines into the 55% so that we could expedite growth on a portfolio during volatility, so that when the market stabilizes, we can start rebalancing heavily into security. Now, these are going to be companies that are tasked with delivering the steady month after month paychecks. A core holding for many income investors is going to be that Realty Income O, known as the monthly dividend company. Realty Income O is a real estate investment trust that owns a massive portfolio of over 15,000 commercial properties leased to reliable tenants, not necessarily all of the ones that went off to war, but some of them. Their business model is beautifully simple. They collect rent and they pass a big chunk of it on to the shareholders every single month. Realty Income has a remarkable history of paying monthly dividends for over 50 years and has increased its dividends for more than 25 consecutive years. So while it is not in the S&P 500 and thus not technically an S&P 500 dividend aristocrat, it is with a track record that is still elite. Based on its historical schedule, we could project a payment hitting the account around mid-August and again mid-September. The next engine room is Main Street Capital. Main is a business development company, or BDC. It basically acts as a bank for middle market companies to maintain its favorable tax status as a regulated investment company. A BDC like Main Street must distribute at least 90% of its taxable income to shareholders. Now, this structure makes it a dividend powerhouse. Main Street has a great reputation for maintaining or growing its regular monthly dividends and has already declared a monthly dividend of 27 cents per share for July, August, and September of 2026. That's a lot. So this gives us a fantastic clarity for our calendar. A monthly payer that has been popular for this high yield area is going to be Stag Industrial. And actually, what I should do, I should be putting these into the comment section for you guys so that y'all can, if you're not in the membership, y'all can take a look at some of these, and then y'all can tell me, or not just tell me, y'all can tell me in the comments, but also tell me in the membership what y'all think about them if you're not already investing. I know Steven's already like in it deep, but for some of y'all that haven't started looking at these, maybe y'all can start taking a look at these and then see exactly where you want to be at with some of these stocks. Now, remember to like and subscribe and take a look at the membership for those of you that are coming and not actually into the membership, because this is a lot of stuff that I give you guys that makes the membership worth it, because for less than a cup of coffee, you can get more information from me 30 days a month than what you would get from a financial advisor for $250 to $300 an hour. Now, those are the three that we're talking about already. Stag is also a real estate investment trust, but they focus on warehouses and distribution centers. It's going to be a key part of the modern economy. However, it is critical to note that as of early 2026, Stag announced that it was shifting its dividends from a monthly payer, and this happened in April. They shifted from a monthly payer to a quarterly schedule. And this means that it's no longer fitting in our monthly income engine, but it could be a very valuable addition to the core or ballast layers for its quarterly payouts. Now, let's turn to some higher octane ones. And these are going to be part of the income engine. AGNC Investment Corporation. AGNC is a mortgage real estate investment trust. It doesn't own the buildings. It invests in mortgage-backed securities. And it is primarily holding the agencies, which is MBS. These are security backed by government-sponsored enterprises like Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And it is important to be precise. Only a portion of these, those generated by Ginnie Mae, carry the full faith and credit of the United States government. The trade-off for this complexity is often a very high dividend yield paid monthly. As of mid-2026, AGNC is projected to pay a monthly dividend of close to 12 cents a share, which is now outpacing Prospect Capital. Its schedule is also highly predictable, with ex-dividend dates usually near the end of the month for a payment in the early next month. So usually between the 27th and the 31st of the month for a payout that happens between the 1st and the 10th. Other monthly payers to consider for this sleeve include BDCs like Prospect Capital and MREIT Armor Residential. And then, okay, we're going to do Orchid Island as well. Throw all three of these in there. Give me just a second, y'all. Adding them into the thing so that we don't overload the comment section. These tend to be higher yields, higher risk players, and their dividends can be more volatile. So they require careful research and precision sizing. Now, we're going to move to the foundation, the 55% core layer. These companies provide stability and dividend growth. Their payouts are typically quarterly. And for our August and September calendar, some titans are scheduled to pay. First, it's going to be the name that everybody knows, which me and Steven were talking about just a few days ago, which is Johnson & Johnson. I told you, bro, it is worth grabbing. It is a healthcare behemoth that became more focused on pharmaceuticals and med tech after spinning off its consumer health division in 2023. What hasn't changed is its commitment to the dividends. Johnson & Johnson is a dividend king, having increased its dividends for over 60 straight years. It pays quarterly, and its long-standing pattern suggests a payment in early September with an ex-dividend date in late August. So this makes Johnson & Johnson a perfect example of a core holding. So next is going to be in our core area, Altria Group. Now I know this one is going to be a skeptical one, questionable. As the parent of Philip Morris USA, investing in Altria comes with an ethical consideration. Each person must weigh. The business is in decline as smoking rates fall because this is a tobacco company, but it has incredible pricing power and a long history of rewarding shareholders. While its status as a dividend king is sometimes debated by purists due to corporate spin-offs, the company has a track record of over 50 years of dividend increases. Altria typically pays its dividends in January, April, July, and October. So while it won't pay in our August, September window, its late September ex-dividend date for our October payment is going to be key for the events that we're supposed to be watching this month. But look, so smokers are going to smoke, you're right. They're switching over from regular cigarettes to, we got weed cigarettes now, vapes, hookahs. So while the market is evolving and less people are doing it regularly, the people that are doing it regularly are more often willing to pay more money to have fancier types of smoking products. Because it's not just the pack of cigarettes. It's the CBD oils. That's considered a tobacco product. It is the dabs, the wax, the oils, the grinders, the rolling papers, the blunt wraps, the cigars. There's enough stuff out there the disposable uh, vape pens, the camouflage vape pens, the discreet ones where you can't tell it's a vape pen until the smoke comes out of it. Or hold on, let me rephrase that: the mist comes out of it. Because when people say, "Well, no smoking," it's not smoke, it's vape because it's a mist, but it is still projecting fumes that are tobacco based or nicotine based uh, or marijuana based that transitions into negative exposure to somebody else against their will, which is when they say no smoking or vaping, because no exhaling anything that is unnecessarily going to impact somebody else. They haven't drawn a line and said no bad breath in public, but they're one step away from it. But yeah, smokers are going to smoke. He said, I would invest in a stack of a business owned by a Sackler family if it paid a good dividend. Bro, I would invest in Norman Bates, O.J. Simpson, R. Kelly, Puff Daddy. There are some that I can't say, but I would invest in them too, because if it's paying dividends, bro, I do not have an ethical restraint. I am okay with buying blood diamonds. Most people are okay with buying Jordans and Nikes from sweatshops in third world countries. Not saying that they have them. I'm just saying, if you knew that your shoe was being made by an 8-year-old in a third world country, you would still buy the shoe. So I have no morals when it comes to investing in a company that you're willing to spend $400 for a pair of shoes if that company is going to give me a 15% return on your investment in them. I'm willing to put my money anywhere that my money's working for itself. Because will the ghosts of the blood diamonds come and haunt me in my sleep? No. They would likely haunt the person who bought the shoes before they haunt the investor of the company that made the shoes to sell to the person that buy the shoes. Because you have to recognize that the supply is only satisfied by the demand. And without the demand, the supply would no longer be necessary. And without the necessity of the supply, the unethical work would not be necessary. So as long as there's somebody in the midst of bro, I would invest in the porn industry if I could find shareholders for that. If I could find dividend paying stocks in the adult industry, I would be buying stocks in that stuff, because millions of people are still doing it. And now they're registering with their driver's license. Ukraine is taxing them, I think 50% or something like that, to cover their military platform. OnlyFans is supporting the Ukraine government through taxation. And if there were dividends for that, I'd be buying into it. I have no chill, because why? My portfolio is not posted on my car when I drive down the street. My portfolio is not posted on my back when I walk through the mall. But when I spend money on stuff, whatever chick that's with me at the time is benefiting from that is just glad that she didn't have to pay. She doesn't give a shit where the money came from. She doesn't care if I'm part of the cartel or not. All she cares about is that the shit is free for her. So most people do not have a moral compass when it comes down to where the money came from. He says, I'm gonna support the youth when the when the hustle set up the lemonade stand, and I will support it. Oh yeah, if I walk down a neighborhood and they have some kids out there selling some stuff, I will pay for them to knock that stuff back. Matter of fact, if I can find some kids in my neighborhood right now to come and cut my grass, I would literally be giving them like $100 to cut my grass. And for them, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a lot of money." But when you start unrapunzeling this house, you're gonna be like, "Jesus, oh no, that $100 might not have been a lot." But I would have made you some Kool-Aid, get your ass back out there, finish doing the job. I feed the help. Now, to balance these individual stocks, our core layer needs a broad market ETF. So we got some ETF picks like Schwab USA Large Cap ETF, and y'all see some of these still going across the top of the screen. And these are all out of the 54 shares, the 54 companies that I grabbed out of the membership. Now, this ETF, this type of ETF is going to be fantastic because it is also a low costing one. And I grab ones that are affordable for people who are on a budget. But this is going to be a way to own a piece of the largest United States companies without having to go through and hand pick each one of them. It tracks the Dow Jones US Large Cap Total Stock Market Index, which is going to include about 750 of the largest US stocks, giving you instant diversification. Its role is to be a stabilizer, providing market growth and a steady qualified dividend. It pays quarterly with a payment typically scheduled for September in the upcoming quarter, because it would have paid last quarter, which I do believe last quarter probably would have been June, if I remember correctly, because it would pay every 3 months. So it didn't pay in July. Yeah, it would have paid in June. Now, for investors wanting to tilt their core a bit more towards yield, we also have the Global X Super Dividend US ETF. Got a lot of these up here for y'all. This is an interesting choice because this ETF targets 50 of the highest yielding US dividend payers, but uses screens for factories like volatility to add. They screen for the factors, including the volatility, to add a layer of a little bit of stability, because it is not just a simple list of the highest yields. Super X Dividend also pays a monthly dividend, making it a unique hybrid that can sit in the core for its diversification while helping the income engine goal of smooth monthly cash flow. Now, this is going to bring us to the final piece of the puzzle, the 20% ballast and growth layer. This is going to be where we add companies that can thrive in different economic environments, especially inflationary ones. For August and September, we're looking at the energy sector. Two super majors on our watch list right now are ExxonMobil and Chevron that are supposed to be paying soon. I do believe that you can potentially see Shell do around about the same time as well, but we're paying more attention to ExxonMobil and Chevron right now. Their integrated models from exploration to refining provides stability through the volatility and the commodity cycles. Now, both have long histories of rewarding shareholders. Chevron is an aristocrat with over 35 years of dividend increases. Exxon has a multi-decade history of dividend growth and has paid dividends since 1882. That's a lot. From 1882 until 2026, that's a lot of dividend paying. So it's important to be precise. Exxon's streak of annual increases paused in 2020, causing it to be removed from the S&P 500, where it is no longer considered a dividend aristocrat in the index fund, but it has since resumed strong dividend growth. Both companies are projected to have an ex-dividend date in mid-August and pay out their dividends in early to mid-September. Now, these payments provide a powerful income stream that isn't directly tied to our holdings. And this layer also includes more tactical variables in our dividend payers. These are for advanced investors only, as their payouts are not always guaranteed. On the watch list, these are some of the ones that are directly impacted by the conflict overseas. We are looking at companies like crude oil tanker operators such as DHT Holdings and the energy producer, Cord Energy. Now, I know that we also have International Seaway. That is another one that is good for that's going to be good for us to. He said, I fancy myself to be an advanced investor. Well, I've given you enough information over time that I would put you in the advanced area. I think that you have paid attention to the market and done enough research over the past 6 months. You don't have to be 20 years in the business to be advanced. You have to pay attention to the information and not be swayed by media publicity. You pay attention to how the company grows over the life of the company and how the company is sustaining itself right now, and then looking at how much you're going to get paid off of holding it, instead of just wondering like, oh, is this going to be impacted by a Republican or a Democrat or other such like inferior philosophies. So I would say that you would be more in an advanced scenario. You do have some personal impulses that does drive your desire to grab certain shares. And it is important for me to remind you that we've covered the show before over the last 8 months, where it is possible to have 25 or even 30 or 40 shares, not shares, but stocks. And the more you get to like 40 and 50 stocks, we got 54 that we're watching. And the more that you get past that 20 to 25, that really, if you had 15 really good ones, you would be doing way better than what you would be if you had like 50 or 75. But if you had to add, for whatever reasons, more stocks to your portfolio, where you now have like 25 or 30 stocks, 40 stocks that you're following, they have to mean something to your portfolio, because the volatility of diversification starts becoming nil. And you're now saturating your percentage distribution of dividends. You can offset the saturation of dividend distribution by going heavily into higher yield accounts. But again, take for example, if you want to steer away from real estate investment trust, the CSCW company that you showed me before, that's like 10.9% return on investment, you would be putting more into companies like that one. And all of the rest of the tax favorable companies that we have on our portfolio is less than 10%. So now you're averaging closer to 7 to 10% return on investment instead of 15 or 20% return on investment, unless you're weighing heavily on REITs and BDCs. So while we do have a 15% portfolio, because part of 55% of our portfolio is REITs and BDCs, and the 10 percenters and 17 percenters and 16 percenters that have the higher average dividend paying, we have to recognize that stability is in the 3, 5, and 7% stocks. So yeah, you are still an advanced investor, but you have to make sure that as you put stuff towards stability, you put stuff towards volatility, so that you're in the moment now will pay you more now than what you're going to get paid later. Now, as the companies start revamping themselves and adjusting to the changes in the market, we may see a lot of those companies kick back their shares, where we will find ourselves in a position where these stocks will become highly profitable for us in the long term, which is fantastic. It's just that the REITs and BDCs do not have stable, continuous growth, and millionaires and billionaires are not going to want to play with it. Those of us that are not millionaires, that are not half a millionaires, have no problem with playing with those, because those will help us steadfast into our ability to get to that millionaire billionaire status. And the closer you get to $1 million, the closer you get to 1.5 million, the closer you get to 2 million, the more you're going to want to sit as either single or head of household filer with a dominant tax favorable portfolio, because as a head of household, you will be in a position where 64%, $64,000 of your income is tax exempt or tax deferred. And if you're married, this is where going to marry a Filipino makes a lot of sense, because if you're married, 97,400, no, 92,400. I don't want to get it wrong. 92,700 is what you would get off of being married, because it's 150% of the 64,000 head of household. So that's when being married makes sense, because you're going to marry you a foreigner, bring her to America, and now that you've got a wife, now that you can do the 90 something thousand and it be tax free because you're highly invested in less real estate investment trust and more tax favorable accounts. Now, does that mean that you're going to sell off a lot of your REITs if they're in the positive? You might. But if they're lower now than what they were when you bought into them, or they have not exceeded the average payment rate that you bought into them, where you're not receiving a profit from buying in, you might hold them but not continue to invest in them. So what'll happen is that you might have like $50,000 worth of REITs and BDCs in a portfolio that's at 100 grand, but you might find yourself in a scenario where now you have at $1 million still $50,000 worth of REITs and BDCs, but now $950,000 worth of non-REITs and BDCs. That's rebalancing away from the REITs without actually selling them. You still get the engine, you just have less taxable income that's mandatorily required. But if you reach a point where they start doing well, they start shooting up, and there's more profit there on the share price, then the dividends that you're getting from it, at that point you can say, fuck, dump all of those, get my money, and then rebalance it into the stable ones, so I no longer have the tax requirement for a lot of those companies. Because selling is not an option no matter what. Exactly. And when you have the mindset that I'm not selling nothing, instead of continuously adding to some, when you decide that you want more growth and less volatility, you just rebalance away from it, where you're putting your new principal into non-REITs and BDCs, and you're rebalancing from the REITs and BDCs into non-REITs and BDCs and boosting up the other stocks. But either way, you would still be in a position where the closer you get to 30 and 40 and 50 stocks, the more you negatively impact your return on investment and less impact volatility. So you just want to be careful about how diversified. You can be over diversified, but you don't want to be under diversified. But I think since we have like 10, I think we have like 5 or 10 REITs, it wouldn't hurt to have 20 different non-REITs out of 30 if you wanted to start rebalancing away from REITs after you've crossed over $200,000 or $300,000 worth of investments, $500,000, $700,000 worth of investments. Now, the dividends from these companies are directly tied to their industry's profitability. So when tanker rates are high, like they are right now during the war, DHT can pay a huge variable dividend. When energy prices are strong, Cord and energy prices like electricity and everything to that effect, Cord rewards shareholders. Cord is, for instance, having a quarterly dividend schedule, and its historical pattern points to a potential payout in early September, where the ex-dividend date is going to be late August. A lot of the ones that we grabbed are like all in the last 2 weeks of the month, where the payouts are in the first 2 weeks of the following month. These are not set and forget it stocks. They are tactical tools for when the cycle is favorable. So how does this all come together to create a paycheck in August and then the second one in September? Well, you want to look at the calendar that we built, because in August you project to receive cash from your monthly income engines like Reality Income, Main Street Capital, AGNC, and DIV. And that's going to be steady flows that hits your accounts. Then September arrives, and the core and ballast layers kick in. You get another round of payment from your monthly engines. On top of that, you receive a major quarterly distribution from the healthcare giants like Johnson & Johnson. You get another huge payout from the energy super majors, ExxonMobil and Chevron. And you get a broad, diversified dividend from some of your market anchors like SCHX. There's also potential for a dividend from tactical play like Cord Energy. We also have Energizer Bunny in our portfolio. This is a power of creating a system. You have multiple different income streams, all covering the monthly payers that provide predictable floor. And they're going to be converging together, where the quarterly payers then layer on top of that, creating peak income months, where you're going to be getting money in on a regular basis, and then more money in some months than other months, but you have a base level on top of the inflated level. And this results in a more continuous flow of cash. But remember, this cash is never guaranteed. Companies can and do cut dividends, which is what we experienced this month. So this system is going to be about managing probabilities, not certainties. And while this cash is coming in, you have some options. You can use the income to pay your bills. One of the things that I tell you guys about, because somebody asked me before, can you live off of your portfolios as emergency funds and regular occurring incomes? Yes, you can. If the majority of the stuff that you have to pay for is paid 2 or 3 months in advance. The money that's coming in this month isn't needed. So if there's a dividend shift and you're getting paid a little bit less, you have the ability to restructure your income stream and restructure your finances, because you're not living on 100% of the dividends being distributed. You're living on some of the money that's being distributed, preferably 50% of the money being distributed. So if you have a $60,000 a year lifestyle, you should have $90,000 to $120,000 worth of dividends coming in. And if that were the case, if $10,000 worth of dividends didn't come in, or $15,000 worth of dividends didn't come in, you would still have your entire standard of living covered with $10,000 or $15,000 of extra money on the side for the year. For the year, not for the month. Right? So you can let it build up as dry powder so that you're ready to buy when great companies go on sale, meaning that the money can come into your brokerage account as dividends. You can use the drip process and reinvest it, or you can leave it in your dividends. If you were doing Charles Schwab's or Fidelity, they might sweep it into a high interest savings account until you decide to use it. Or you can personally drop it into a high interest savings account until you decide to use it, where your brokerage account pays your emergency fund. And if you wanted to do a great business deal, you can go and buy into it. If a stock goes on sale and you leave it in your brokerage account, you can buy that stock. If you're trying to go into real estate, you would have capital to converse with. Or you might prefer methods where you can systematically reinvest it. You can take the dividends from your stable core holdings and buy more shares of your higher yield income engine in order to generate more revenue to offset inflation. You are using the income generated by your machine to strengthen and grow the machine itself. So this is going to be how you compound wealth over time, because now you're going to spend a portion of your day, which is probably going to be less than 2 hours out of a whole 24, if you're doing your research. But if you're not doing your research, if you're just moving around the money actively after passively receiving it, you literally have probably 30 minutes to an hour out of your day where you're going to look at the money that you have accessible to you, move it so that you can get ready to spend it on something that hopefully benefits you. I think that's actually more of a financial free lifestyle to have in comparison to what other people put themselves into with 55 to 65 hours a week worth of work. This is how you can compound your wealth over time and actually build yourself a stable income that allows you to be free from the stress of day-to-day life. Now, what we've laid out today is more than just a watch list. It is a system. It is a blueprint for you to take control of your financial future by turning the chaotic stock market into a source of more predictable income. The 55-25-20 framework gives you a structure, and the dividend calendar gives you the map. And the stocks on this list are simply the tools that you can use to build your own income machine. He said, I bought a scarf at a sale for 50 cents and sold it for $100, netting 19,900% profit. Well, congratulations, Michael. Michael does estate sales in his spare time. That's his hobby. He's good at finding things that nobody wants where it's being sold at, buying it dirt cheap, and then selling it to somebody who really wants it in an area where they didn't have access to it when it was for sale. And that is another form of drop shipping. You have people that go to Home Depot and Lowe's and catch those penny clearance items and buy off all of the products and then put them up on Amazon and sell them for cheaper than the competitor, because if they paid a penny to get it, they can sell it for 50 bucks, whereas it's on sale everywhere else for 150 bucks. So now they can undercut the competition, turn over a massive profit, and live off of the difference, because so many items ends up on penny stocks to the magnitude that they don't have a problem with not only buying the products at penny stock, but shipping it to Amazon and then leaving it in the Amazon store until it gets sold. Because for a penny, I'm not losing out on anything, right? A penny plus shipping plus holding might have cost me $15 an item. But if I'm making $100 or $1,000 an item off of it, I'm turning over a massive profit. But when we're talking about investing in stocks and real estate and bonds and stuff to that effect, it's good to buy one item for 50 cents and sell it for 100 bucks. But basically, you only really came back with like $99.50 one time. You now have to go back out and spend that $999.50 on a bunch of other items so that you can then sell those items so that you can get more money back. While you do a good job of doing that, the difference between your active investing in residual returns, we've been talking all day about passively or residually, because you have to put the money up there, but it's going to be closer to passive because you're going to put your money up there and then it's going to give you money back, and all you have to do is accept it. A little less effort. So, you have your highlight reel, buying something for 50 bucks and selling it for 5,000, buying something for $10 and selling it for $200, buying something for 50 cents, selling it for $300. But it is still a revolving effort of going back out and spending money on something and then waiting for it to get sold so that you can get it back. And you said the one time you bought something for $100, sold it to the person behind you for $1,000. The fact is that not always do you have the instant sale capabilities. Sometimes you have things that you might hold for a month, 2 months, 3 months before it gets sold. Eventually, you're selling stuff that at one point in time you bought for little or nothing, and eventually you sold it for a hell of a lot more than what you paid to buy it and hold it in some situations. But it is still work. It's a hobby, but it's still work. Putting your money into the stock market and watching the stock market is not nearly as much work. And when you're living at less than 50% of the dividends that are being provided, it's even less work, because in those situations, you're looking at the capabilities of autopiloting the shit, just depositing the money, some of the money, reinvesting other money, and living off of whatever's there. So if you're getting, say, $90,000 coming in on your brokerage account and you have a $50,000 lifestyle, if you're maintaining your $50,000 lifestyle, if it was 90 and it turns out to be 70, you're only reinvesting 20,000 instead of reinvesting 40,000, but you still have your 50,000 paid for. You put in almost no effort to keep the money flowing. You just have to monitor it, which is way less effort. It says purchased a Skilo dive watch, 200 meter. Yeah, you told me about that. Day/date automatic, pay $1 and sold it for 500. Yeah, but it's still effort. It's still effort to go find it. It's still effort to evaluate it, negotiate the price, buy it, hold it till somebody wants it, sell it, and it has no value until it's sold. So you are still able to work your way into navigating into these little items. That takes a lot of effort to go get them, and then you have to put it up for sale and advertise it and be patient, and then eventually it sells, and when it sells you turn over a profit. But the timeline from when you know that it exists till you getting it and then holding it until you sell it and then get the money from it, that timeline is sometimes the same timeline with way more effort than for me to put money on a stock in July and get paid for it in September for a quarterly stock. But I can put a stock on it. We're at the end of the month right now. There's certain stocks that if I would have bought them today or tomorrow before the 29th or the 30th of the month, they will pay me next week and keep paying me for the rest of my life, which is a little bit different than what you're doing. Well, actually, it's a lot different than what you're doing. It gives me revolving income with no requirement for further effort besides minimalistic monitoring of the success of the companies to make sure that my money does not disappear with the company going out of business. Well, everything in life takes effort, but when we're talking about opportunity cost, the effort in investing in the stock market is going to be less physical effort and more mental effort than the effort in chasing down all of the estate sales and trying to find good deals. He says it depends on what you want in life. Yes. Well, you want something to do with your retirement, so you go to estate sales. But again, we're talking about creating a massive revolving income that requires no physical effort. And then you hashtag 2 highlight reels where you bought something dirt cheap and then sold it for a shit ton of money. It fit in the moment because I was talking about how people drop shit when they go and pick stuff up as penny stocks and then sell it for hundreds of thousands of dollars on Amazon or eBay or whatever the case may be. But it's still the principle of the fact that it still takes work. You have to look for it. You have to go get it. You have to, after you get it, then you have to hold it till you can sell it. Then after you sell it, then you get the money from it. Then you got to go back and do it again. But in a stock market, you put your money there, you leave it there, and you keep getting dividends from it until either you sell it or the company goes under. The difference between the two is the latter is far less effort and more financial freedom and the capabilities to redirect the dividends to an account overseas where you can now live in another country where these sales that you're finding right now here in America may not exist in Puerto Rico or the Alps, or special shout out to Belize or Belarus or Kazakhstan or Switzerland or Iran or any of the other countries around the world, that these deals that you know here in America in Washington state might not even be in Florida or Maine or California. So the thing is that when you start saying, well, I'm going to take my life on the road or I'm going to start putting access and effort into my passport, the difference is that what you're doing right now, while fantastic in your local area, it is an alternative. But in comparison to having the freedom of doing what you want wherever you want around the world, that particular activity is limiting. It requires you to be present for the sale. It requires you to be present to receive the product. It requires you to be present for the sale of the product a second time. And then it requires you to be present to receive the payment. Whereas with a brokerage account, you can get an email that you got paid and then go back and get it. You can forget about it for a while and be like, oh, let me go back and check it. And all this money got deposited when I wasn't looking. Right? Big difference. He says, and you go broke with the other 70 to 90% of the people playing the stock market. That's funny because I'm not broke. That's funny because a lot of the people who play the stock market or Bitcoin or whatever, they play the game for the growth of the share price. I'm telling you to lock in on the dividend distribution, which is the closest thing to guaranteed pay from the stock market. While the stock market is still volatile and nothing is 100% guaranteed, you're 70 to 90%, 80, 90, 95% guaranteed the dividend, monthly or quarterly dividend payout from the company as long as the company exists. The guarantee that your sold item pays you, that's it. Transaction is over. You still have to go look for another sale. And if you don't find another sale, you go broke not having another sale. So the thing is that, again, while it is an alternative to the dividend platform, the fact is that the dividend platform requires less in-person physical effort and more stable, reoccurring income than flipping products from estate sales. It's an alternative, but dividends give you less effort needed in person for the transactions than chasing down estate sales. And not everybody has the same eye for it because you've been doing this for a while with your retirement. So some people might go and buy something based on personal desire, not actual market value, and they'll be buying items that never sell. So while 70 to 90% of people who buy antiquities could find themselves in a position of hoarding a bunch of antiquities, opening up an antique store and never selling shit, the ideology is that you can build a portfolio that pays you to stay at home and not have to go look for stuff to buy. That's the ideology there. You say people die every day, I won't go broke. I mean, you say that, but you might more than likely be here for another 20 years, and 10 or 15 years into it, you're gonna be like, man, I wish I would have listened to Xander. My information has been proven year over year. So, but this is a situation where you guys can stop worrying so much about your daily price swings in the market and start focusing on your monthly cash flows instead. And this is going to be how you guys can shift your mindsets from being speculators to a business owner. And your portfolio is going to ultimately be your business. So there's an app for estate sales in every town across America. True. There isn't an app for estate sales in every town, in every city, in every state or continent around the world. And again, when you start dealing with estate sales around America, you still have to have it and then potentially have it in your possession when you go to sell it. So if you were traveling and it's not with you and somebody wants to buy it because it's a physical item, you have to go back to the item and sell it, or you have to recruit somebody to sell it for you. And hopefully they either don't want money to sell it on your behalf, or they don't want that much money to sell it on your behalf. Unless you're going to forward it to a place like eBay or Amazon, where they're going to charge you to hold it until it gets sold, and then you let it get sold online and you just wait for the money to be dropped into your account. Either way, there's efforts and costs. And the effort in what you're doing is a lot higher than the effort in what I was talking about today for the last 2 hours. Just saying. Special shout out to Joel, and he said that's true. I got a Hitachi old school what is that, siding nailer for $20 at an estate sale. Right. But that's like a one-time thing. He's not out there like buying every vehicle versus $400. So right, so you can get it, you can pick stuff up for little or nothing from estate sales and it be useful. But again, like I was telling Michael, today's show was about how you can change the way you invest in your portfolio so that your portfolio can return a larger quantity of investments, and then you would have automated cash flow that would not require your physical effort in making the money, where you would then be able to rebalance the money in different ways or reallocate your money into different investment opportunities where you're actually just moving the money and getting paid to move the money instead of finding items to sell and offering it up to be sold, which is a hell of a lot more effort than what I was talking about today. So when I'm talking about how you can fine tune and improve your portfolio, Michael's talking about how good he is at estate sales. He does not find things like that often. Probably so, but you're not your entire life. There's a garage sale, estate sale, swap meets, etc. Right? Okay. A lot of my customers give me things too. Right. But again, that's not your primary source of income. It is ways that you, as a consumer, pick up things at a more affordable rate. I know selling is fun. Selling is going to be fun because you get the dopamine hit from buying things. And then you get another dopamine hit from the profit of selling it. So each time you buy something, you get two dopamine hits, one for procuring the product and one for releasing it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that when it comes down to what we were talking about in today's show, which was how to restructuralize your portfolio, that it is actually easier to generate more revenue without having to put in extra effort physically somewhere else by changing the way you address your portfolio. So your straw man topic about buying and selling stuff, which is not in line with investing in the stock market, is kind of completely different. I allow it, but it is completely different from an investment portfolio. Because I get clothes for fun. Okay, cool. For free. Yeah, well, that helps. It says no fixing the building things primarily. Right. So you, as a consumer, you're getting them as a consumer. You're not doing it to make a profit. Because nowadays, there's a whole lot of people that don't know how things actually get repaired. Of course they don't. Because we're in an economy where people will pay to replace it instead of paying to repair it, because the hourly wage for a repairman exceeds the price of repairing something. Take a ceiling fan, for example. You can replace a ceiling fan for $250. For a repairman to repair your current ceiling fan might take him 2 to 3 hours. At $80 an hour, the repairman's labor cost would far exceed your capabilities to repair the ceiling fan. So it's just easier to take the ceiling fan out and put another ceiling fan in. The way big business has designed things, they make money off of reoccurring sales. They make things that break, and they make it so cheap that it is more effective for you to replace it than it is for you to repair it. Back in the day, things were durable, and they used to try to make money off of replacement parts, where you would keep it forever, a dishwasher for 50 years, and you would just repair whatever broke on it. Now, you might have something for a year or two, and then when it breaks, you got to buy another one. You know how long it's supposed to last when you look at the warranty on it. If it tells you that it's guaranteed to work for 2 years, 2 years and 6 months later, that's it. If you can make it work for 2 years and 6 months, that's it. If you can't, it's a waste of money. He says you get the same dopamine high during stocks too. Yes, less often, because you're going to get the dopamine hit if you check in the stock market on a regular basis. You're going to get the dopamine hit when your share value goes up, because your portfolio's overall value will go up when the share price goes up, and then you're going to get a dopamine hit when you get the payments. But you're not building a portfolio for the dopamine hit. You're building a portfolio for financial stability. So the fact is that for the sake of stable income with little to no effort involved, the portfolio is still a more effective scenario, because you're able to put your money in places where your money is making money for you in your sleep, while you're on vacation, when you don't have internet, and you can then redirect your money to a place where you have access to your money so that you can spend it wherever you are in the world, which is not something you could do with an estate sale. That's why I'm trying to say. I keep trying to get you to understand. Is this repair yourself? Not everybody. Joel just said it. Not everybody knows how to fix stuff. He said, nah, nobody repairs a ceiling fan, but replacing their brakes, installing new parts in the vehicle, building a new computer, people pay good. Yeah, they probably pay good money for that. They probably do. But we also recognize that while repair guys are going to be something that's not going to be replaced by machines anytime soon, repair guys don't have multi-million-dollar houses from repairing shit. They have stable incomes with middle class or lower middle class lifestyles, 40, 50, $60,000 a year lifestyles, unless they're in like New York or California or something like that, where they might have $70,000 a year lifestyle, but they're not balling out of control from fixing other people's shit. Because more often than not, before somebody pays somebody to replace it or to repair it, before they pay somebody to repair it, they'll pay for another one and replace it. So installing a ceiling fan, a new door, I can something bank, but still underbid all the greedy people that went 50 an hour for handyman service. I see what you're saying. I get most of my jobs from people in a grocery store or outside smoking a cigarette talking. True, I had a guy in a grocery store pitch me on a custom holster for my firearm. Well, with all the hot chicks walking around the store, two guys started talking about holsters and making sales on custom made holsters. Because I mean, these days, like a lot of the times, more often than not, men are starting to focus more on how they're going to benefit from the things that they're doing in their life and less about, ooh, she's cute. So I understand that you do a good job of negotiating your ability to maintain your value. I was just saying when we were talking about today's portfolio was that the stocks that we were watching this month are on a different investment portfolio style than the styles that we've talked about in the past. So today's entire show was about stock investments, not about other side hustles, which I need to do another show for side hustles for you guys so that you guys can promote your side hustles and talk about all of the nifty things that you guys do in life that you guys like to make money off of or whatever. But today was specifically about stock investments. So that was the topic of the day: stock investments and different investment strategies that could enhance your profitability in stock investments. He said, or customer job working sites and neighbors come by. Right. So side hustles. Side hustles. Whatever you guys do, that's a different day. That's not today. Even my boss would throw me side work from jobs. Yeah, but that's again, that's not today. I know you're catching up. That's not today. Well, you didn't leave me off course. The show is over. I probably got like 2 paragraphs left and I was wrapping it up. I was letting you guys get your comments in because the show was over. I know some of y'all deliberately try to steer me off course after I ask you guys to show respect for the show and stay on topic. And I try to entertain some of my longstanding fans when I block the new guys that come in and do that, which is almost hypocritical. But at the end of the day, the topic of the day, when I said, hey, we're talking about investments and stocks and different strategies on investments, you come in like halfway through, like, this one side gig and blah, 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 blah. Bro, that's not stocks at all. That's not investments at all. That's not an investment strategy at all. Being able to buy something for $1 and selling it for $100, that is not part of an investment strategy. You can call it an investment strategy because you could say, I'll see you tomorrow night. You can call it an investment strategy because you bought something and you turned a profit off of it. But it is a different type of investment model because it's a type of investment model that requires you to put in more effort per transaction to turn a profit than what I was talking about today. So no matter how you can rationalize for yourself that you underbid the market, you get good customers in. I'm talking to you guys about how some guys are doing $80, $90, $120 an hour. You can argue $50 an hour, but you're getting paid by the hour to do the work after you do the bid. I can tell you about, me and Steven was talking about at the beginning of today's show about stocks that are paying us a couple $100 a month just to hold them. And all we had to do was check the app and like, oh shit, I got paid today. That was the most effort that we did. like one of the most strategic things that we do, I think twice a month, is remind each other, hey, there's a stock party where we're getting free stocks. Go and pick up a free stock. That's it. That's the let your buddy know, hey, there's free. They giving out free stock today, or they're giving out free stocks this week. Get one while you still can, kind of thing. That's like little to no effort versus what you guys are talking about doing. And I'm not saying that what you guys are doing are wrong. What you guys are doing are fantastic. You guys have the business mindset of like multi-millionaire juggernauts. While you might not have that income and you might not have that lifestyle, y'all have that mentality that if you stayed young forever would be fantastic. But the older you get, the harder it is for you to get out there and go get it done. And I keep trying to tell you guys about different ways for you to put your money in places where when you can no longer make that bid and then fulfill that job duty, when you can no longer catch those estate sales at cheap prices because you don't have the energy to get out of bed and drive across town to go pick up the item, that's when this portfolio will be fucking fantastic for you, because you will be getting paid. You would have rolled over in the middle of the day, got up, checked your bank account, money's already there. Where you could have been just touching down, you could have been on a 15-hour red-eye flight from Asia, just touched down, first time you were able to get internet, the whole flight, and all of a sudden you got paid while you were on a plane. That is what I'm talking to you guys about. The freedom of not having to put in effort to get more money. That's what I was talking about today. So while you guys have fantastic business models on how you guys are able to make money for yourselves. Well, no, you have business models about how you can put in effort to make money for yourself. You're not making money, make money for yourself. You are putting in effort to make money for yourself. And then you spend the principal, and then you have to go back out and make more money for yourself. I am talking about how you put the money into a principal where the principal gives you a paycheck and you live off the paycheck. That's a completely different business model. And that's what I'm encouraging people to get into. He says, my problem is I'm highly disciplined, keeping money as cash, really bad at keeping money in the bank. I mean, you should keep some money at your house in cash. I treat money as my play thing. Okay, well, yeah, because you don't even have anybody to will it to. I treat it to as a tool. Never spend the principal. Well, not most people aren't supposed to spend the principal, but a lot of people do. I just don't like banks. Well, it's not about putting it into a bank, because if you put it, so here's the thing: you can put a lot of stuff. You can put money into a bank so that it can gain a little bit of interest, high interest yield savings account, money market account, something to that effect, which is going to be more profitable for you over time than it would be with money in the safe at your house. But if you have money in the safe at your house, even when the power goes out, the money in the bank is not accessible if the ATM machines don't work. You can still use the cash at your house to go and buy things. So a small quantity of money, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 worth of cash at your house, is a good way to go to make sure that if the power is out for 2 or 3 weeks, you've got enough money to take care of certain things. If you pay your utility bills, your basic utility bills in advance, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in advance, if natural disaster occurs and the power goes out at the end of last month and the beginning of this month, the power's still out, you don't have to try to fight to pay your utility bills. Your utility bills were paid 3 months ago for the next 6 months, and you don't have to worry about that. But if you need gas to get to work, you've got gas. If you need gas to put your generator to run your house, you've got money for gas. And as long as the pumps work, some pumps are mechanical pumps, not so much electrical pumps. And if the pumps work, even if the credit card machine doesn't work, if the pump works, you can pay the guy and then put gas in your car, put gas in your gas cans, and take care of your house. So having cash is a good idea. You just shouldn't have like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 at your house, because if your house burns down, all your money is gone. So you don't trust banks. I don't trust banks. I don't trust anything that this country's doing right now. But America is less monitoring than Asia. There's CCTV cameras everywhere, infrared cameras everywhere. There's 24/7 video monitoring on just about every car in the city. So if a police camera or city camera isn't on one of the city blocks, every car on the block has a video camera on it. So I mean, there's less privacy over there, but there's a lot less violent crimes over there. So it's just all in how you do things. I'm just trying to give you guys alternatives to kind of think about another way to get things done that is not you having to physically leave your house to go get money. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. He said, don't leave money in the bank for a long period of time. Bank is just the parking. Yeah, I agree with you. Fireproof safes. Fireproof safes. We just covered this on the show not too long ago. I got about 7 minutes left. We just covered this particular scenario not too long ago. A fireproof safe is up to a limited quantity of stuff. The fireproof safe is not going to help if the house is on fire for like 5 or 6 hours, if the house is burning to the ground. A fireproof safe would help if like 1 or 2 rooms caught on fire and you put the fire out inside of 30 minutes. A fireproof safe is not a waterproof safe. So if the fireproof safe is dealing with a moderate to high quantity of fire, and then the fire department has to drench that room, and that safe now has water in the safe, all of the stuff inside of the safe is destroyed. If the safe is in an area where a flood occurs, while it might be fire resistant, it's not water resistant. If a flood occurs, everything in the safe is wet. And if the stuff in the safe is paper, the stuff in the safe is damaged. If it is cash, it is destroyed. It's just like what they said, Bin Laden was in the mountain with millions of dollars and the rats were eating his money. I mean, once the money gets to a certain quantity of damage, it has no value because nobody's going to accept it. So if the money gets too damaged, while yes, I talked about this on the show, you can potentially exchange damaged capital within reason for replacement capital of the same denomination plus a fee of getting it done. It still takes a lot of time to replace the money. So if you had $50,000 in your house, first you got to prove to them that I was legal tender. Then you might have to wait 2 or 3 months for them to give you back your $50,000 in updated currencies. And you might even have to pay a service fee to get that done. So you no longer have $50,000. You have less than $50,000 because of the service fee. You have no growth on your $50,000, which means your $50,000 is going to buy less shit over the period of time that you had it. So it's not a foolproof thing. It's not a foolproof thing to put it into a brokerage account. It's not a foolproof thing to put it into Bitcoin. It's not a foolproof thing to put it into real estate. But what you do get is the more digital currency you have with banks and brokerage accounts and real estate and gold and silver and Bitcoin and all these other things, is that you have more money that you can utilize to get more stuff that you can use to have a better standard of living. The only difference is accessibility. You have more accessibility to an ETF brokerage account than what you do with selling actual share stocks on the stock market. You have more accessibility to a dividend paying portfolio than you do with a buy and hold. I only get paid when I sell something portfolio. You have less effort into getting money when the money is being handed to you because they still have your money, as opposed to you having to go put in effort to go get more money. These are the things that we talk about. So there's no perfect way to do it. It's just you have to find an alternative that will benefit you when your physical condition can no longer support the stuff that you're doing right now. Michael right now is 71 years old. If he lasts another 15 years, he might not have the energy to go to estate sales anymore. He might not have the energy to go to the auctions anymore. He might just want to sit on his porch and rock in a rocking chair and watch the sunset, sipping Gold's iced tea. And if that's the case, he should be having money, making money for him so that he gets paid for that lifestyle. That's what I'm talking about today. I'm not saying that, what you guys are doing is not a good idea. I'm just saying that you're not preparing for a future when you're no longer physically capable of doing what you're doing today in 2026. I'm saying that you're not preparing for what are you going to be doing in 2046. How is your lifestyle going to be paid for in 2046? Because what you're doing right now, you just said you broke 2 ankles, a bunch of knees, all this other shit. Your physical condition is not going to last you another 25 years. Eventually, you're going to have to say, fuck this shit, I'm out. And when that happens, what the fuck is paying for your standard of living? He said, yeah, that's where they got that skit from Bad Boys. Yeah. So I gave you guys the blueprint for August and September for 2026. I'd like to hear from you guys. What is the #1 dividend stock that you guys have on your watch list right now? Because that's what we're talking about, right? The investment portfolios and stock watch list, right? I want you guys to drop that into your comments. And then we want to build a community of smart income investors, and we want to share our best ideas in addition to your capabilities of getting cash by going out and putting in effort. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, and then mash those reaction buttons while you're here, and go and check out the membership for more deep dives just like this one. That is actually all I have for you guys for tonight. I see Kane is over here looking at me like he wants me to get him something else to eat. So now I got to go feed the dog before we start taking on some of the projects we got going on for the night. So I would special shout out to Jolin, Michael, Steven, FX Trader, Aztec, OG Kicks, Joe Jack. I really appreciate you guys for coming to tonight's show. Unc Andy. Then I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking ladies to make it make sense. Ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you this information for you guys to make better decisions with your ability to make money, and then make better decisions in your personal life on how you spend that money. Ladies, you can be higher value women as well, because while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, if you prioritize the things in your life that you don't like, you can improve on your own because it's inside of your control. You want to fix those things and then navigate around things in your life that are outside of your control. I tell you guys, all of you guys should pay attention to this, that you need to figure out what your 20 and 30 year plan is, because just like I finished telling Joel just now, is that you don't know where you're going to be at in 20 years, and where your physical condition is declining rapidly, and where you are today in 2026 is not where you want to be at in 2046. So you need to build a plan where in 2046 or in 2056 that you have a way where your money is making money for you. You're getting paid to breathe, not to do stuff. Your money is happening regardless of whether or not you get out of bed or not. And you have the capabilities of living the lifestyle that you want because you built that starting in 2026, right? But that requires you to figure out that 20 and 30 year plan, start doing it today. And ladies, if you pay attention to the right suitor that has the potential, the personality, the characteristics, the drive, ambition, dedication, admiration, and integrity to fulfill his own goals, you see how your goals meshes with his goals. If you guys have long-term satisfaction goals that bleed together, then y'all can conquer each other's goals faster. But if one of you has long-term satisfaction goals and one of you has short-term gratification goals, you guys will struggle to get to where you're trying to go. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to how you guys mesh well together. And like I tell you guys on a regular basis, that more often than not, two people can make it to $1 million faster than one if you both carry the same financial values. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles. respects my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living.